I've changed how I do this seminar a little bit. I do this a little more like stand-up philosophy. So if I segue away, that's just my mind playing. And there's a reason for that, is we as libertarians have so many times had very, very heartfelt and tough arguments with people we really like, our moms, our dads, our brothers, our sisters, about libertarianism. And sometimes there's a lot of friction between us and the people we really love. And that's kind of hard to heal. It takes a little while. It took a little while before my parents realized that libertarianism was not a phase I was going through. I think just last week they acknowledged that maybe this idea is going to catch on. And sometimes when I see libertarians get so serious, and when I go to scholars conferences like Cato or Heartland or Reason, and I see people talking about white paper libertarianism, where it's all interesting and it's got footnotes for their footnotes, I kind of look at it and go, we need to be doing a little more laughing. We need to be having a little more fun with our campaigning, our communicating, and our working with people. Some of the finest people, look, we've all met our share of jerkazoid libertarians. There are jerkazoids in churches, there are jerkazoids in social groups, there are jerkazoids in family. And if you don't know who it is, look in the mirror, it's probably you, or me. But the truth is that working with libertarians, especially with campaigns and party business, should be a fun, pleasurable experience. Doesn't mean we shouldn't work, just means it ought to be fun. We met more friends during our ballot initiatives in Massachusetts with Carla Howell and me. As a matter of fact, Sharon Harris and her husband came up and visited us one summer and got to meet a few of the folks that we were bringing in. We were bringing in 270 people every month to help us put on the ballot in the income tax ballot initiative. And they got excited for two reasons. One, this is a bold, exciting thing to do. You know, this wasn't no timid stuff. This ain't your mama's Libertarian Party. This is yours, and it's bold, and it's ready, and it's rocking, and we're strutting our stuff, and we're feeling good. And people were excited by it in the state of Massachusetts. Dukakis, the little guy with the Snoopy hat and the tank, right? Carrie, who looks a lot like Lurch on the old TV show, right? And people were liking it, and I noticed something, is that our activism was not only effective, it was fun. We had people that would hang out after we were done licking the envelopes, just because they didn't want to go home. Not because home wasn't nice, because they really enjoyed being around with people who treasured what they treasured: liberty, individual responsibility, a world where government's so small they start putting its picture on the back of milk cartons going, have you seen these guys? No. So I want us to get a sense of fundraising ought to be a little bit of fun too. So should volunteer stuff and running for office. No, it doesn't mean you do stand-up comedy when you run for office. It'll drive people crazy. They'll go, hey, you're not serious. This is a big joke to you. But it means that you need to be having fun, having a good sense of humor. We've seen that with our best libertarian candidates, haven't we? You guys have Rupert in your state, right?
Yep.
Rupert is a real likable, amiable guy. You can't, if you go, I hate Rupert, there's something the matter with you. You're some kind of deviant, perv weirdo.
Yeah.
You probably work for the IRS, and you probably audited me and got a bonus, you bastard. But the fact is, he's a really likable guy. If you can't like him, there's something, go read Carnegie. Okay? There are our best candidates. Harry Brown, who in my opinion is the finest libertarian candidate we've ever had, best educated, credible. He brought real gravitas to it. But he's also a genuinely nice man, real likable. So I just want you to know I'm going to play with this. Don't assume that because I do fundraising in one particular way, this is the only way to do it. It's not. It's the way I do it, because you couldn't pay me to do this stuff if it wasn't fun. I like raising money for libertarians. I find it odd when libertarians won't raise money for their campaigns, because your fundraising pays for your website. Your fundraising pays for your yard sign. Your fundraising pays for that flyer you leave at the door after you talk with the family and ask them to vote for your candidate. That fundraising pays for the banner that you put out there behind behind your candidate. So when he stands up and gives a speech in the park, everybody knows it's Gary Johnson for president, or whoever your candidate might be. Money pays for that. It's not a matter of, oh, money, 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 money. I love money. I put it in a pile, roll naked through a vat of Roosevelt dimes. Ooh. The money is there because of the good work it does. When people say that, I had a candidate last year, and it used to break my heart. Now it just teased me off a little bit. I want to take him out back like my brother and throw yogurt at him. Shut up. I told the guy, I said, here's a guy running for, let's say, a national libertarian office without naming the office. And I said to this person, I said, look, I'm glad you're in the race. I don't know whether you can win. But if you want, I'll train you how to fundraise so that you can get to all the state conventions. There are a lot of people who would love to donate to you. And the guy spent 15 minutes explaining to me why, in principle, he didn't want to fundraise for his presidential campaign. I was prepared to write him a check for $2,300 for the primary and an equal amount for the general. You with me? I ended up giving him $300. Right? I would have given him much more had he shown a desire to do that. I want him out there because I believe if we have good quality candidates competing for the nomination, it gives us more credibility. It draws crowds. People like debates. Debates are like, boxing matches or arguments with your in-laws. They're for fun. And the fact is, a lot of people would have liked that. And it just stunned me. But I found again and again, most libertarians don't want to do the fundraising. Now, I'm not saying you should be a fundraiser. What I'm saying is if you're a candidate for office and you don't raise funds, you'll lose control of your campaign. Let me say that again. If you're a candidate, you don't do at least a little bit of fundraising, you will lose control of your campaign. Because for every guy like me who comes in and his income, there are 10 libertarians who come in and their overhead. Oh, I know how to spend. I know how to spend. I've never won anything, never run for office, but I know how to spend. I spend my money. After I get back from 7-Eleven, I spend it all. God, this guy lives next to the dumpster. Okay. The reason we want our candidate to do basic fundraising is first for the money. Secondly, because you get really clear about how hard it is to get, and you're careful about spending it. I've had campaigns where we raised our first $5,000. What'd you do with it? We used it for a website. I go, are you out of your mind? What kind of an idiot are you? I mean that with love. Your first $5,000 is your seed corn. You never spend it all. You never spend it all. The fact is, you don't have any money to hand out flyers to tell people to go to your website. They don't know where your website is. They don't know who you are. They don't know there is a website for you. And if they did, they'd go, this is it? When you raise the money, you're careful, you're prudent, you're a good steward of that money. And that's important to me. Because when I go to you and I ask you to donate money to something, not only am I asking you to give money, but I'm giving money too, just so you know. And I'm going to make sure that money is spent as it was promised. That's a matter of personal accountability. That's a libertarian principle. If I tell you we're going to spend this $10,000 for yard signs, we're not going to spend it for female interns that didn't make the Monica Lewinsky test of high moral standards. Okay? We're going to spend it for that because that's part of accountability. Does this make sense to you? This is the reason I want my candidates to raise money. But there's another reason. The big reason that's so important. After you raise money for your campaign, you're going to feel really much more confident in your campaign. You'll feel a sense of that what you're doing is valuable. Running for office is not a nuisance. It is a public service for a libertarian to do it. And I'll just give you the test. There are a button in front of you right now. And by pushing that button, you could shrink government, federal, state, and local, down to small, limited constitutional government, only defending our life, liberty, property, and everything else goes to the private sector, churches, charities. How many push the button right now? How many think America would be radically better off if that happened? I do too. I'm not doing liberty for me. I get very little of it. All my neighbors get way more than I get. My community gets more than I get in liberty. And yeah, it's the only thing, that the only way you can take it is to give it to everybody. There was a man, they thought him mad. The more he gave, the more he had. It's from Pilgrim's Progress, Bunyan. The fact is, liberty's like that. The more you give it away, the more you get. It's just the simplest thing in the world. Now, the reason the money, the fundraising is so important is, once you start asking people for money, you'll start acknowledging, recognizing, paying attention to the value your campaign gives. I really believe this is important because I've had people almost apologize for their campaign. I'm only a paper candidate. Thank you for being a paper candidate. Is this your first race? Well, yeah, it is. I wasn't sure I wanted to run a full campaign. That's how people get their toes wet and see whether they want to run a bigger campaign. And if that's all they can do, God bless you. Thank you. Because people in that district now have a chance to vote for a libertarian. And that's a value. Every campaign helps every other campaign. 585 libertarians ran for office nationwide this year. The higher the vote total Gary Johnson went up, that helped the people in Texas. The higher the Texas vote went up and the Johnson vote went up, that helped the people in lovely Georgia. That helped the people in Indiana. But it doesn't work that way. It's not top-down, the Libertarian Party, it's bottom-up. Percolate up. That's the way the support goes. So all those little campaigns, I don't want anybody to feel ashamed about running for office as a libertarian. That's a value. But I want to show you how to raise enough money so that no matter what, you can get your campaign off to a fundamentally good start. I'm going to give you a couple numbers that's going to drive you crazy. 585 libertarians ran for office last year. Sharon knows me enough to know that whenever I hear a number like that, I'm going to go find out the details. 585. How much did 80% of those candidates raise?
Zero.
Running for office. Actually, you're a little off. Because some of the people mess. It averaged out to 1,800 because a few of them got 39, 4,000. The top 20%, 5,000, 5,100, but less than $1,800. And there were many, as you point out, who raised nothing. Now, this is important for a reason. If you don't ask for money for your campaign, you're not going to respect what you do. I was unimportant. I just put my name on a ballot. It didn't really matter. You got to get clear about it matters, and you get clear when you ask for money. There's nothing like money to clarify the soul. So, you're going to feel confident about yourself. You're going to see more value in the campaign, and you're going to be cautious and prudent about spending money, because campaigns attract spenders the way Washington attracts lobbyists. With the Harry Brown campaign, I used to get all kinds of notes. I got a great idea on how you can spend $1 million. I said, so do I. Give it to me. Neither is a good idea. And people would have ideas, and I know their intentions were good. But spending is easy. Spending smart is hard. But spending is easy. People are careful when they raise their own money. Now, as a candidate, why do I want you to raise money? Anybody here been a candidate? Why do I want you to raise money? What's the first reason I would want you to raise money as a candidate?
Well, based on what you were talking about, for me to have an investment, for me to say that this campaign is important, so it's important enough for me to ask for money.
Exactly. By the way, people take their cue from the candidate. Nobody asks what does Ron Nielsen think. They ask what Gary Johnson thinks. Ron made about 90% of the decisions there. Okay? I know, I've been on campaigns. We used to have staff meetings where it'd be Sharon Ayers, David Berkman, Jack Dean, and Michael Cloud, and Harry Brown and Pamela Brown. And Harry'd say, you know, here's what I think we ought to do. And Sharon would turn to him and go, Harry, you're only the candidate. And the rest of us would make the decision again and again. Yes, we listen to them. But the bigger your campaign, the more your team is absolutely indispensable. Okay. Now, raising money as a candidate also attracts volunteers. It attracts people that want to work on your campaign because they see you're serious. He's got enough for lawn signs. He's got enough for t-shirts. She's got enough for a big banner. They've got enough to put an ad in the local weekly shopper. Okay. Why else do I want you to raise money for your campaign? Those of you who've been candidates. Go ahead.
For me, and I'm not sure if this is the answer you want, for me, I got my first $25 check from Grace Reed.
Okay.
Rest her soul, little old she didn't have the $25 to give. So she gave me $25, pouring rain, I can always give one more hour going door to door because Grace Reed gave me $25. It raised my level to the point where, damn it, I won the friggin' election. But I kept going because these people invested in me, I had to invest in them.
Got it? They invested in me, I don't want to let them down. That's an important reason. Both of those are really important reasons. Any other reasons that come to mind? I'm going to give you the weird reason, but go ahead. Let's hear the other reasons. Go ahead.
When you have to ask for money, you really kind of have to tell them what you're going to use it for, so it focuses you up.
Good, it's a focusing item. I'm going to take this money and spend it on, who knows? You're not getting the money.
You're learning how to sell yourself.
Very important part of the process. Absolutely, yes, sir.
You're letting people know that you're running.
Absolutely, it's a way of campaigning. Now, all of those are true and all of those are important, and don't think that there's a right answer. There are several important, valid right answers, and all the ones that I've heard here are valid. But let me tell you the compelling reason to me that makes me raise money as a candidate. There's something called cognitive dissonance, which was a term made out by Leon Festinger in 1956. I'm sorry, I'm a wonk. Forgive me, I'm one of those guys who reads the white papers. This guy discovered the following. If you can get people to act in a way that is new for them, they will justify their actions. For example, if you can get, let's say, a conservative, you're a moderate conservative, you're, say, a moderate liberal in class. And I say, all right, now what I want you to do, this is a class project. I want you as a conservative to come out for same-sex marriage and see what conservative reasons there might be. And I'd like you to speak to the class as though you do that. Let's say he gets up and gives that speech in terms of same-sex marriage. And let's say you're the liberal, and I want you to come out for cutting spending on government-funded public education by, let's say, 30% or 20%. Pick a number and say, what liberal reasons might there be that would make sense to do this? Here's what happens after they give the speech. Their level of commitment to that idea goes up. That's what cognitive dissonance does. Pascal talked about this in his book, Pensies. He said, if you've lost your faith, act as though you have your faith. Go to the church. Kneel when the priest tells you to kneel. Pray when he tells you to pray, and do the catechism. Because you act as if you become. We become what we pretend to be. And we become what our behavior makes us into. If every day you get up and you do a 4-mile power walk, in 4 months, you're going to be buffer than you are. I know, because I've been doing that for the last month and a half, get myself buff. If you go to the gym, every day, it doesn't seem like a lot, spend 15 minutes just pumping iron every single day for 5 months. Before you know it, you go, hey, girls, look out. Cognitive dissonance says we become what our behavior makes us. Now here's what's interesting, and I'll tell you why I'm telling you this with fundraising. I have people give me money so they'll read my libertarian literature. If you want your family to read your libertarian stuff, get them to donate to you. Let me say that again. All those people that have been giving you guff for years, I'm going to show you how to get money from them. And if the Lord didn't want them to give money, their wallet would not have an opening. The truth of the matter is, the people who donate to you will read your materials, will follow your campaign, and will become more receptive and responsive. Now, it doesn't mean they'll be full-blown libertarians. My youngest sister started off as a knuckle-dragging, Rush Limbaugh is too liberal for me conservative. And I've helped her grow spiritually over the years by getting her to donate money to same-sex marriage, to reclassifying pot, same as wine and beer, stuff to free up our police officers to go after murders, rapists, child molesters, and Wall Street criminals who belong behind bars too. Okay. Getting them to donate to you increases their level of commitment to you. Now here's the interesting view. Anybody here in business? Okay. If I give you a choice, it says you had a choice today to call on a previous customer or a prospective customer who's never done business Which one has a higher likelihood of buying from you?
Previous.
5 times as high. And this is what retailers have found again and again. It's far easier to offer new products for relied upon customers, loyal customers, than it is to go out and find new ones. Yeah, you gotta find new ones. You can't only do one. But it's absolutely critical. This is equally true at donors. There are repeat donors. There are serial donors. And they're serial donors because the first time they gave because they knew you. The second time they gave because you asked them again and you were real nice and you kept up with them and you'd inform them what's going on in the campaign. They said, oh, why not? Third time they're going, tell me a little bit about that belief that you had there. I'm curious. And I believe this, but you seem to have some pretty good reasons. Talk to me about it. They'll open up. Wouldn't that be a cool way to open up your family's mind? Now, most of you, your families think you're mentally ill with libertarianism. If your family's like mine, how do I know? I know what my mother said to me. I know what my father said. Son, once you get a little older, you'll, and I said, die? Wrong answer. But once you get a little older, you'll realize that you can't always have what you want. Sometimes you have to compromise. Blah, 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 blah. And I listened to this. And over the years, my parents have become more and more libertarian by being exposed, by being asked to help, by your son is running. I'm not asking you to become a libertarian. Carl Howell's dad is for single-payer health care and had been for years, have been active in it. Now here's a Harvard grad. Carla has these arguments with her dad when I first started dating her back in the day, back in the late 90s. And she said, Michael, how do I change his mind? I said, you don't. I said, you tell him you love him. You love your dad. You talk to somebody else about health care. And, oh, you get him to donate. Over the years, her dad, well, I believe in single-payer health care, but I believe people should be able to opt out. Good enough for me. If they made Social Security that way, how many people would be in it? 1. Maybe 2. Forgot how to opt out. Okay, bottom line is, one of the big benefits to you is when people donate to your campaign, they get more interested, they get more receptive, they get more responsive. This is how, have you ever noticed Democrats and Republicans have people donating to their first campaign, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000? You ever wonder where the money comes from? No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Where do you guys think it comes from? Some people here actually know. Does anybody know where the first campaign Newt Gingrich ever ran? Or as we call it, a black day in America. Okay.
Did he use his own money?
Yeah.
Congressional caucus?
No.
Friends and family.
Friends and family, that's exactly right. This happens with the Kennedys, this happens with the Dukakis. Almost always everybody starts the same way we start little business startups. From people who know us and like us and trust us. By the way, I write that phrase down. If they know you and like you and trust you, the chances are good you know them and like them and trust them. That's a relationship that opens itself for them to make an affordable donation. I'm not talking about going broke. If they know you and like you and trust you, and almost always, friends and family are where you start. There have been studies done of small businesses, and they don't get their money from bank loans, SBA loans. These startup businesses, 2 women in a garage, 2 guys in a spare bedroom. They put part of it on one of the guy's credit cards, part of it the money he won with the poker game in the basement, and the average amount is something like $6,000, and they scraped it together from family and friends. That's where these small businesses come from. Almost all of them across America, micro businesses, small businesses, equally true of campaigns. So, I said, well, the biggest problem we as libertarians have is we need our first $10,000. If you had $10,000 to start your campaign, it was in the bank, and you said, now I need to start doing additional fundraising, would you feel more comfortable if you had a little money, a little fundraising under your belt? Okay, here's what I'm going to show you how to do. How to raise the first $10,000 in 4 easy evenings, all from non-libertarians, even if you're shy. Best fundraisers I have ever worked with are not gregarious. They're not, hey, it's good to see you. They've been shy. They've been very private people. Being shy is a good thing. People trust shy people. They know you're not hustling them. They know you're not, oh, this is Dale Carnegie, glad-handing. Oh, Tom, good to see you. Shy people are perceived as being authentic. They're not perceived as being standoffish. They're perceived as being genuine, and they're usually perceived as being pretty sensitive people. People who are thoughtful, sensitive. So if you're a little bit shy, you got an advantage. If you're not shy at all, you can still do it, but you don't have that added advantage of being shy. Now I'm going to show you how to do it, and I'm going to walk you through what you do. The first step in fundraising your first $10,000, and remember, I wanted to do it because you need the money, because you're going to be a good steward, to raise your self-confidence and self-esteem, to show people you're serious about running a campaign, for you to focus your issues, as has been pointed out, and also so that the people that donate to you start reading your campaign literature, start being willing to put up your yard signs, very important. Also are willing to hear you out. And then, as soon as I'm done showing you how to raise the $10,000, I'm going to show you how to double it, just like that. Double it. Double it. Yes. Let's start with what you do first. First thing I do is get a yellow legal pad. Do not use a computer. I recommend paper, because I want to slow down your thinking process. What I want you to do is write down your Christmas card list. Your aunt, your uncle, your mother, everybody you're related to by blood. Your brothers, your sisters, if they're alive and they're not doing jail time, I want you to write down their name. Don't worry about if you're going to call them at all. Don't worry about whether they got money or not right now. I'm not going to ask you to go get $10,000 from them. Don't you worry about it. But you're going to find out, like I found out with my oldest of my two sisters, she was mad at me for a year and a half. Do you know why she was angry at me? Because I didn't love her enough to ask her for money for my U.S. Senate campaign against John Kerry. Don't you love me? You let Janine give you money, you let Fred give you money. Fred's an asshole. And you didn't ask me to give to your campaign? I'm mad at you, and I apologize. I'm sorry. And then I looked in the mirror, you jackass, you should have called her. So I want you to write down the names, even if you're not going to call them. Don't worry about whether you're going to call them. Just write down their names, their email address, and their phone number. If they don't have email, like my parents don't have internets in their neighborhood, they tell me. They're in their 80s. Just the phone number is fine. Now, I want you to write down the names of all your all family. That means brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousins if you're close to them. Like a lot of families are like I was born in Iowa. My mother's family is really tight-knit, and I've known them for years. I've been the white sheep in the family, actually the black sheep, but a man needs something to believe in. But the truth is, we stayed in touch over the years, and I had them donate to my campaigns as well, relatives. And we knew each other well enough to say hi at family reunions, bring a covered dish for the Sunday get-together at the family house, and to go to their funerals, send notes for the weddings and a few dollars to help out the cousin or whatever. And the fact was, I was real surprised when they gave money. But I'll list everybody related to by blood. Secondly, if you're married, guys, how many of you are married? Raise your hand. If you're unsure, trust me, you're married. Okay. Now, by the way, if you're in a committed relationship, whether it's same gender or somebody you're living with and you're not married, ask them, would it be all right for you to ask their family to donate to your campaign? Ask them. Ask for permission. You don't just do it. In a marriage, you own it. If you got to listen to your mother-in-law and your wife argue about what they're cooking, you got a right to ask the mother-in-law for money. And believe me, I've done this. And my mother-in-law, my second mother-in-law, was from Oklahoma, and she donated. She's a real nice lady. I still get along with her way better than I did with my ex-wife, so I guess there's a lesson in there somewhere. Okay, so you got related by blood, then in-laws. All right, here's the next group. People you work with who do not answer to you. They're not in your chain. They're not somebody you can promote or demote. They're not someone you can reward or penalize. It can be someone who works across from you in the office, but not works under you. Can't be someone you can hire, fire, reward, penalize. It's got to be someone equal. Does that make sense? These are usually the people who go to at lunch. Hey, you don't want to go get a sandwich over at Subway? Sure. Hey, I heard they're having a special on buffalo chicken. How did they get those buffalo chickens to fly? I don't know. Boom. What I want you to list is coworkers that you're cordial with, that if you saw them in a mall, you'd say hi to. There are some that you don't want to know. Hello, John? No, never mind. I don't want to know him. John is not the guy you want to talk to. You want to talk to Mary if Mary likes you, okay? Write down the names of those folks. Now, if you're in social groups, some people, like for example, one of my sisters works with Girl Scouts, okay? And she knows the den mothers, right? All these women who bring their daughters over and come help with the stuff and bring their daughters up in good values. But the important point is bring me the cookies, right? Love them Girl Scout cookies, especially the mints. Now, the people you socialize with that you like enough to do more than, hey, good to see you. You know the people that you know just like, hey, it's all right. It's because you see them all the time versus people that you like. And hey, what's going on? How did that bowling tournament go that you were going to belong to? Hey, good luck. See you later.
Bye, thank you.
Back to Oregon.
Back to work.
He said, don't feel rejected if I leave. I said, I've had 2 women leave me. Nothing you can do. Okay, so these are people that you know socially. And if you know them through social groups, Civitan, Rotary, Lions, Optimists, or Optimists, different social groups that do good work in your community. Some people belong to them. If you belong even to Mensa, or a Star Trek reunion club, or historical reenactors, I met a lot of people have interesting social groups. Those are kind of cool. Or Society for Creative Anachronism. And that's, on daylight savings, I asked whether I had to set back the sundial, and they said, not funny. All right. So, people you go to church with that you like, that you sit next to, that you know, that you socialize with. Not everybody in the list, right? These are people that know you and like you and trust you, and you've got a little bit of a bond. It's a friendliness. And you know the people I'm talking about. People you wave, that you're glad to see, who are glad to see you showed up at church today after you were drunk last night, you heathen, demon, Satan-worshipping scum.
Why do they always look at me when they say that?
Saves time. Now, okay, so we've got people related by blood, people that you know and like and trust, that you know socially. Okay? Now, here's the next group. People you do business with. For example, do you got a dog or a cat? How many have a dog or a cat? Do you have one vet you go to? Some people have these big, like, haircuts, you know, big vet places, and it's not one vet, it's a whole chain. Hairstylists. Women, OBGYNs. Oh yeah, anybody who can say slide down can donate. Trust me on this. If you got a chiropractor, a dentist, people you spend money can spend money with you. One hand washes the other. Reciprocation. Now, I'm not going to ask you to put the arm on these guys. I'm going to show you how to do it gently in a way that they love. Let me give you a story. The year's 1996, Harry Brown's running for president. I got my cat, but I'm going on the road with Harry Brown. And my cat's name is Cyrano de Bergerac. All right, he's a great cat. I loved him. He found me at the door, and I stupidly fed him, and he never left. And I come in one day, and I see my veterinarian, and he says, Michael, how you doing? I said, Jim, it's good to see you. And he said, you're out of town a lot. What do you do? And I said, well, I'm on the road campaigning with Harry Brown for president. Have you heard about Harry Brown? Well, no. So I talked with him a little bit about Harry Brown. And then I said, this is interesting to myself. I went home and I calculated how many dollars I'd spent on boarding. He had a real nice boarding area. It wasn't just one of these little, it was a big, my cat was living way better there than at my home. And I had spent $1,480 some in the last 8 months on my cat there. And I did something, I said, you know what? I said, I want you to know how much I appreciate it. I've done this many dollars with you in the last year with my cat. Probably in the next year I'm going to spend an equal amount. and I'm glad to spend it because I like doing business with you, my cat likes you, I like you, we get along. I've spent $1,482 with you, and I'd like you to donate $250 to the presidential campaign that gives me the chance to give you the $1,482. Would you be willing to do that? And he says, yeah, okay, because we talked about it. Yeah, okay. So he wrote me a check. I got him a copy autographed by Harry Brown of Why Government Doesn't Work. Left it with him. And that was my premium. Somebody gives me $250, they're getting something in return for it. They got the book autographed to him, and it says, Michael tells me that you're a great cat vet, and he thinks you're terrific. Thank you so much. Your friend, Harry Brown. This guy reads the book cover to cover, makes notes in it, takes it, and if you go to most vet places, they've got these glass display cases where they'll show kitty chow, dog chow, chew bones. They'll sell you extra goodies. I come in the next day, there's Harry Brown's book, Why Government Doesn't Work. And there's a sign up above that says, ask me about Harry Brown for president. Fact! And I was stunned, to put it mildly. Took a photograph and showed it to Harry and Pamela, and they were just tickled pink. He did business with me because I did business with him. Now, I told you to list the people you spend money with. Not big chains, but like back in the day, video stores used to be owned by mom and pop, and I knew both of them, or you knew both of them. And the people who owned it, I would ask for donations too. But you can do a dentist, doctor, chiropractor, if you got somebody mowing your lawn, anybody you spend money with regularly, and hairstylists, barbers, whatever, anybody who takes care of you, your pets, your home, anyone you regularly spend money with who owns the business, not their clerks, they're making minimum wage, leave them alone. Talk to the owner. Now, what I want you to do is list their names. Now, how many names will you get out of this list? Most people on their first list come up with about 30 names. Then I say, go look at your Rolodex, at your BlackBerry, at your list, and you forgot some, family and friends. Oh yeah, I forgot Aunt Mary, I forgot this person. And people fill the list out. I ask you to do that in the 2 nights before you begin your fundraising. Now, I'm going to give you the exact sentences to use, and they work about 80% of the time. Let me say that again. 80% of the time. So if you're really looking for rejection, this is not the way to get it. Ask women out who are far better than you. That's the way to get the rejection you want to need men. At least it's always worked for me. Now, with people who are in your blood, related to you by blood, related to you by marriage, that you socialize with, family, friends, socialize, and if there are any neighbors that you know real well up the street. Like I know all my neighbors. A lot of places people don't know their neighbors. But I know their names, I know their kids' names. Well, it's a nice neighborhood. That's why I picked it. Okay, and those would be on my list. By the way, we had a candidate run, and I asked them to vote for him and put a yard sign up for him, and they did. A libertarian candidate. Okay? Now here's what you do with family and friends. First, how do you want to approach them and ask them for money? The way most libertarians want to ask is, I'm going to say this is just gutless, because that was the way I tried to do it at first, and I know why I was doing it. Send them an email or send them a letter. That's the easiest thing in the world to ignore. Oh, I didn't get your email. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed them the whole year. Easiest thing to ignore is an email. Easiest thing to ignore is a letter. What's a little harder to ignore? Instant message might be, if you're into social media, younger people, instant messages, a little harder, because all of a sudden it's like, pay attention. So if you're into instant messaging, I'll show you how to use instant messaging with this too. But the hardest thing to avoid is a phone call, because people like phone calls from people they know and like and trust. Now, some of those people are not going to be home. It's going to be on their answering machine, right? You ever had that? You call somebody, you're trying to reach them. I'm going to show you how to get called back about 90% of the time. Let me say that again, 90% of the time. If you want to learn how to do it, there's a wonderful book called Question-Based Selling, written by a man named Freese, F-R-E-E-S-E. And there's one chapter in that that shows how to get people to call you back. And I said, I don't know this guy. He lives in Georgia, as a matter of fact. Does marketing there. But phone is the easiest way to get people. Usually I'd say do it in person, but the fact is we live so far away that you can't afford 20 minutes up, talk to them, stay around for little munchies, and then go home. You're only talking to 1 or 2 people a day. That's just inefficient and you can't do it. So the way to do it is by phone. Now we'll make a couple of recommendations by phone, but first let's understand the dynamics of the phone. Phones are very, very intimate. Most of my relationships with people are over the phone. Sharon, when was the last time we saw each other in person?
It's been a couple of years.
Couple years, and we talk every month. Sometimes a few times a month. Sometimes your daughter says, don't talk to him, he's weird. The interesting thing about a phone that most of us forget, we think it's impersonal. I don't like telemarketers. I had this happen when I called a big donor for Harry Brown in '98. It was for the 2000 campaign. This guy says, I said, hi, this is Michael Cloud with the Harry Brown campaign. John, how are you? And it was clear I was asking him to donate money, and the guy could afford it. I wasn't, this is a guy he was swimming naked in a vat of the Roosevelt Dimes. Believe me, this guy's doing well. And the guy just cold-bloodedly says, Michael, I want you to know that I never give money to telemarketers. Never. And I says, oh, thank God. That's exactly why Harry Brown asked me to call you personally instead of getting a telemarketer to call.
Ooh, good line.
Oh, and I got the full $2,300. I got $2,300 from his wife, or $2,000, whatever the limit was then. And then got something to pay off the primary debt. And Harry said, you're shameless. I said, I got nothing to be ashamed about. Telemarketers in most people's minds are people sitting in a room who don't know you and are only in it for the money. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for the liberty. If I get some money, that's fine. I think people should be paid. Most of us are volunteers in most of our stuff. But the fact was, I'm not some faceless telemarketer. I'm going to meet that person. And as a matter of fact, I met most of these people that I've talked to on the phone. So it's not a telemarketer. So I want you to be clear on this. You're not that guy who's interrupted somebody's dinner. You're not that guy who's a nuisance. You're not that guy trying to get out. You're not somebody that your family does not want to talk with. You're someone that the person on the other end of the line is basically glad to hear from. I mean, unless you're interrupting dinner or interrupting amative relations, we'll keep it vague. Necking, kissy face, that. Unless you're interrupting something like that, you're usually going to be a welcome caller. And that's true of family and friends. Even sometimes when my family would get angry with me, they were still glad to hear from me. You're still alive, huh? Surprise. No, I'm kidding. Now let me tell you something about phones. A couple things. A phone call is the most intimate thing you can have with somebody. A phone call is way more intimate than a conversation. Think about where that phone is. Right up next to your face. Would you let somebody get up right up next to your face? Would you? Can I talk to you?
No, that's, okay.
I want everybody to get this, but that level of intimacy, when someone puts a phone up right next to their ear, it is really close to their face. And they usually, have you ever been in a conversation with someone, they get a phone call, they pick the phone call up, you're there! And they want to talk to the guy on the phone. Does that happen to you? Good, you be on the phone, because I want to talk to you instead of the other guy. Okay, phones are really intimate. Now, that's important for fundraising, because do you know the longest you're going to talk to people on the phone to get the money? 5 minutes or less. You'll be done with the whole thing in 5 minutes. You'll give them enough information to give you an answer, and they'll be delighted to either say yes or say no. Well, here's the thing about phones. A lot of people have cell phones, so you don't know if they're home. First question, when I call them, first thing I do is identify myself. Don't ask, is John there? Hi, this is Michael Cloud. Is John there? How many families you call for, who is this, right? They feel, Is it a marketer? Is it somebody trying to, is it a scam? Is it something I don't want to hear? Hi, this is Michael Cloud. I'm not sure I know Michael. Well, John and I are in the Libertarian Party together. Can I talk to John? Well, we are in the Libertarian Party together. Damn straight I'm calling him. Does he know you? Of course he knows me. I don't call strangers. Did I call you? I play with people on the phone. But if you simply call people up, first thing we need to realize is the phone is very intimate. First thing I ask is, are you at home or are you driving? If they're out driving around, do not ask for the money. Repeat that. If they're out driving around, they can't fill out a check. They don't have their credit card where they can take it out unless they want to run over that person in the green one who's in the lane over there. Hey, are you out driving around? No, I'm not. I'm at home. Cool. That's what I want. I want them to be at home. That's where I want to get them. Now, when do I call them? Call them in the evening between 6:45 and 9:15, not 1 minute later. Okay. That's the time to call. It's between 6:45 and 9:15. The nights that I pick are weeknights, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't call over weekends because people are all over. They've got family items to do, and more importantly, you never know when they're going to be home. But usually after a day at work, people go home. You know, it's Miller time, or they've had dinner and they've sat down a little bit. Between those hours, you're not going to get people even who are early go-to-bedders. That's why I never call past 9:15. There may be some people like me who are late nights, but there are other people who are farmer hours. Okay. So those are the hours you call, 6:45 to 9:15. So, if you've got 4 nights to call, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, how many hours do you have in all to make all of your phone calls?
14.
10. It's 2.5 hours a night, isn't it? 2.5 hours a night. So you're going to make $10,000 in 10 hours. You ever make $10,000 in 10 hours? Well, you got to date Richard Gere and be, you know, I forget the name of that movie. Those are the best hours to reach them. Now the first thing I like to do is make sure when I'm calling them is I'm going to stay on one subject, and the subject's going to be my relationship to them. 2 reasons we're going to ask them to give. The magic word with family and friends is relationship. You're asking them to give because of their relationship to you and yours to them. And here's how I asked them to do it. Here's what I did with my mother. And my mother is a Scotch-Irish woman who could kick the snot out of me up until she turned like 80. And probably still will. Hi, Mom. This is Michael. I got great news. I pause because I want to give her a speaking part here. I don't go, I got great news, blah, 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 blah. I got great news. Well, what is it? Your son, the boy you gave birth to, the young man you raised to be a good adult, is running for United States Senate. Isn't that terrific, Mom? So I'm saying to her, and I'm letting her respond. You know, the fact is, we sometimes get really down on, oh, I'm only running for Congress, I'm only running for Senate. Very few people in their lifetime ever run for public office. It is a big deal. For most people, it's kind of an honor to know someone who, oh, my son ran for U.S. Senate, as a matter of fact, against John Kerry. He got 368,000 votes in Massachusetts against John Kerry. And he's nothing like John Kerry, which means he's a good person. Okay, so the first thing I'm saying is, Mom, I've got great news, pause, and I do that, I did it with my brother and my sisters. I've got the same line, I got great news. Mom, I got great news. Well, what is it? Your son, the man you gave birth to, the young man you raised with good values, the young man you taught to be a good adult, is running for U.S. Senate. Isn't that terrific? And I let her celebrate with me. Mom, I'd like you to donate $1,000 to your son's U.S. Senate campaign. Would you do that? Now, here's the hard part. Let it hang, because the things they're going to say next are not really objections. They're thinking out loud. Well, I don't know. We've had some bills. That's my mother doing her bookkeeping in her head. She's not objecting, so don't respond to it. I don't know. It's been kind of, I don't know about, so, hon, I don't think we could do 1,000. I said, Mom, that's okay. I know you love me. If 1,000 is too much, how close could you come? If 1,000 is too much, how close could you come? I don't say how much could you give, because they give me a lower number, and God won't like me. God only likes people who ask for more money. Trust me. I read it in the book of Do to Others as Others would do to them, Deuteronomy. And it's the 5th book in the Bible. It's part of the Pentateuch. And my mother said, well, I guess I could do $250. I said, could you get your checkbook, Mom? I want to make sure it's filled out right. You know, these rules, government. What was I making sure she did? I didn't want her to forget it or spend the money on food or clothes, you know. Come on. She can live under a bridge. She's a strong baby. I'm just, that's an in-family joke. Okay. I asked her for, if you don't know how much to ask for, say the limit allowed by law is $2,300 or $500, whatever your office is. I don't know what your budget is. I know I'm not that rich, but if you know your parents, you know sort of what their income bracket is. If they're making $50,000 a year, they can do $250. If they're making $75,000, they can do $500. Trust me, that won't kill them. But you don't ask for $500 or they give you $250. You don't ask for $250 or they give you $150. And then they would feel embarrassed later on when they found out other people gave their children more than they did and loved their children that they raised more than they did. Yeah. Okay. So my mother got the checkbook, and I says, Michael Cloud for U.S. Senate, and you need to sign it personally, and then put in the item, put political donation. Would that be all right? Mom, let me give you the address to say it. Do it while they're on the phone. Could you get it? Because I don't want to mess it up, Mom. And we're having a big fundraiser. Anyway, you don't give any more reasons. My mom did it. And I said, Mom, thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. A lot of people, when I ask them for money, is going to ask me about, does your family support you? Yes, they did. And you saved me a lot of embarrassment. I really appreciate it. And I says, oh, Mom, one more thing. And she says, yeah. I says, can I talk to Dad? Oh, I did. Oh, I did. Oh, yeah.
Another shy retiring type.
But here's the beauty. Once I'm done, after I've got it all filled out in the envelope, oh, Mom, one more thing. What's that? I said, first of all, I said, I love you and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Oh, one more thing, Mom. What's that? Can I talk to Dad? And my mother goes, oh, you. But she got my dad. And I did the same thing with Dad. I said, Dad, I got great news. Yours.
$250.
Yeah. Your son, the young man you raised to be a good adult, the young man that you set an example for as a U-2 pilot, is running for U.S. Senate against John Kerry. Isn't that terrific? My dad goes, hey, that is pretty good. I don't like John Kerry. And I said, Dad, I'd like you to donate $1,000 to your son's U.S. Senate campaign. Would you do that? Silence. Now, my father is a poker player, and I know when I'm going to play. And my dad says, I guess that kind of depends. I said, oh. He said, what are the issues in your race? I said, oh, Dad, that's the best part. There's only one issue. He says, what's that? I said, your son is running for U.S. Senate. Would $1,000 be all right, or would you prefer to give a different donation? He said, well, I'll give what your mother gave. I said, don't you love me more than she does? And my dad starts laughing. And he says, of course I do, but you're still only getting 2. Okay. And I said, Dad, I really appreciate it. And I want to thank you and Mom for both supporting me. I know our political views are different, but it really means a lot to me having your support and having your love, and I want you to know that I love you both. I did the same thing because the reason they're giving me money is I'm not somebody called into these important issues, Mr. Johnson, these important issues, Ms. Cloud, blah, blah, blah. I'm their son. And the reason they were given is because of our relationship. That's the only reason they're giving me money. They're not giving me money because they think I have got the greatest platform in the world, though I did. They're not giving me money because they're libertarians. They're not. They're giving me money because of our relationship. So the trick, the approach with that is, I've got great news, pause. And that's so they get a speed bump. Really, what is it? Your son, blah, blah, blah. Your brother, blah, 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 is running for U.S. Senate. Isn't that terrific? And if the opponent, your opponent is somebody he hates, name him. If I would have named Romney, my father would have given me more. McCain, my father would have maxed out. He hates McCain. And I knew there's a reason I love my dad. McCain's constant. Okay, now, I do that with my family. What do I do with my relationships, with my relatives? Your cousin is running for U.S. Congress. Isn't that great? Your bowling partner is running for, and if you golf with people, your golf buddy, the guy that you love to beat the snot out of at the 19th hole, is running for U.S. Senate. Isn't that terrific? Yeah, I'm wondering if you'd be willing to donate. I asked him for a little less. The law allows you to give up to $2,300, but I'm not asking you for the full amount. I'm wondering if you might be willing to donate $750 or $500 to my U.S. Senate campaign to your golf buddy. Think of all the golf stories you're going to get. Not only did he not get elected, but I beat his ass on the golf course every single time. All I refer to in my conversation is relationship, not a single issue. Relationship, relationship. And by the way, this is the way the Kennedy family raises money. This is the way the Bush family raises money. This is the way the Gingrich family raises money when they're not divorcing each other. This is the way, this is the truth, and this is the way these people start their campaigns. Now, how do you do it when you're dealing with people? Okay, now this is how you do it. Family, friends, people you socialize, people who are related by blood. You stay on, you repeat your relationship to them. Your brother-in-law, your aunt, your cousin, your golfing buddy, the guy you sit next to in church every Sunday, the guy that you do the offering plates with every Sunday, the guy that helps you organize your lawn party every Thursday is running for Congress. Isn't that terrific? I want you to donate $500 to your yard party buddy for U.S. Senate. Would you do that? Notice, I'm not giving them a lot of reasons, am I? I'm relying on a relationship to give them a reason to give. And by the way, if they say, no, I really can't give now, my response is, sounds to me like you're on a tough budget. Yeah, I get that. We've all been in tough situations. I've been there where we're counting every penny. If you can't give a serious donation, could you give a small nominal one just so I can tell my friends that my golfing buddy kicked in something? And so when they tell me no at the very end, I acknowledge they have a right to do it. I acknowledge where they're coming from. They probably don't have money. There's tough times. And I say, if you don't have money to give a full or a larger donation, could you give a small nominal amount so that when my friends ask, they know that my friend, so when my other supporters ask, they know I have my friend's support, a smaller amount. Is that something you could do? And invariably, they'll come up with 20, 50, or 100. And a certain number go, I really can't even do that. I said, totally okay. I want you to know if anything changes, if you get that new job, if you're, I had some people put 2 kids in college and no scholarships. Boy, these people are eating beanie weenie for months. You know what it's like, macaroni and cheese. I says, no, I get it. I said, have you ever checked out child labor laws in your state? I'm just curious. But the truth is, if they tell me no, I accept it, and I thank them, and I say, by the way, I really want to thank you for hearing me out, and being willing to consider it. I know times are tough, and I know you're putting the kids through school. I'd still like to invite you to a couple of events, and just come say hi to friends. If it fits in with your schedule, fine. If it doesn't, that's cool too. But I want them to know that door is open. Now, you can get about 12 of these calls completed every hour. What happens if you call and they're not home? Here's the message you leave. Hi, Mom. Michael calling. I'm sorry, something just happened that made me think of you. Would you call me back at 520-886-6881? Something just happened that made me think of you. What happened was I saw her name on my donor list. Well, something just happened is I just declared for office, right? You don't fill it in. You're building suspense with them. Curiosity will get them calling back. Now, if there's some family news, like I've got a relative that sends me, do you have families that send you what happened all year? Those things?
Or they're on Facebook.
Or on Facebook. I was reading your site at Facebook and something made me think of you. Could you call me at? Notice. And something made me think of you. I saw X, finds anything, any pretext that connects you with a reason to give them the good news that you're running. Your friend is running for U.S. Senate. Isn't that terrific? Well, you know, the odd thing is we forget, we underappreciate our friends. A lot of times they'll go brag on us. They'll go tell other people. Next thing you know is I got a guy who thinks you're okay. Really? Has he got money? Okay. So those are the two ways that I get people to call me back. I just saw your family listing, and I saw something there, and it made me think of something. Could you call me back at blah, blah, blah? Now there's a third way. I was just reading X, something to do with them. I was just reading your note, your Christmas note. And something made me think of you. Could you call me back at? And the something that made me think of you is, here you're sending me a Christmas note, and that made me think of, it's going to be Christmas in America when I run for U.S. Senate. Isn't that terrific? Okay. Now the whole purpose of those message on the machines is to get them curious enough, and it drives them nuts. I have people go, you deliberately tormented me to get me a call back on the machine. I said, yeah, I did. How'd it feel? It's pretty cool, actually. I think I can use that for my chiropractic practice. Can you teach me this stuff? I said, well, I always teach my donors. My chiropractor maxed out. Damn straight I took care of it. He put up a yard sign for me too. And I'm delighted with him. I recommend it. It's really, really good. Okay, now, can you do the same? You can do the same with family, friends. You stay on your relationship to them. That's the message you leave on their phone. Any one of those three messages. If you're unsure which message to leave, pick up that book. It's called Question-Based Selling, and it's written by a guy named Freese, F-R-E-E-S-E. Still in print. You can buy it with Amazon. Don't buy it new, buy it used. There's only one chapter on it. I forget which chapter it is. You'll look it up and how to get people to call you back. That's the one chapter. You don't have to read nothing else in the book. Chapter's got 5 different ways of getting it. Best stuff I've ever read by a marketing guy. Because I just found everybody called me back on this. Way cool. Now, how do you get people that you do business with to give you money? Whether it's your OBGYN, your hairstylist, your vet for your dog or cat, the people who do your lawn stuff. Remember, we're talking about people that own their own business, not their employees. Right? What I do is I dollarize my commitment to them. I show them. I say, you know what? I've been your dental client for 2 years. During the last 2 years, I got my teeth polished, I got this done, this done, this done. And I realized that I had spent over $1,600 with you. And you know what? I'm glad I did. Because you gave me great service. You made me pleased that I've recommended you. Probably in the next couple of years, I'm going to be spending a similar amount. And I thought of something. I'm spending money with you. Why wouldn't you want to help me in the same kind of way? Why wouldn't you want to spend money with me? is I talk about reciprocation. I know I put $1,800 into your business. Would you be willing to donate $250 to my campaign? Now, not everybody's going to be the same as my chiropractor was. My chiropractor's a libertarian. And not all of them are going to be like Harry Brown's postman named Butch, who's a libertarian. He says, yeah, you're right, the post office can't deliver the mail on time. Damn straight. But then Butch is cool. I actually got to talk to him over the phone once. Pamela says, hey, Butch is here. Let me talk to him, the libertarian postman. With your reciprocation, you want to tell them how much they've spent with you. Tell them, I'm glad to spend it with you. I can't think of anyone I'd rather do, and I recommend you. But I thought I spend money with you. Why wouldn't you? So I thought I would ask you to donate to me. I gave you $1,800 last year. Would you be willing to give $250 to this campaign as a gesture of friendship and business? Would that be okay? And people are used to people putting their arm on them. People ask for United Way donations. They ask money for, we're raising money against breast cancer. It happens all the time. Girl Scout cookies. Everybody buys Girl Scout cookies. And the odd thing, in reciprocal relationships with people that you're spending money with, you're going to find you do about 40 to 50%, is my experience. Again, if they're the small business owners, if they're the people that, like I got a garage I go to, and I got a guy who owns it. Okay, it's his garage, and he takes good care of my car, and he charges less per labor hour than the Chevy dealership does, and so I do business with him, and I recommend him. And I went to him, and he says, hell yeah, you've been spending money with me. How much? And how much? And I'm going, how much can I ask this guy for? I said, well, usually people in your situation like to give $2,300, which is the limit allowed by law. But sometimes they're on a tight budget, and they want to reduce it a little bit to maybe $22.99. I don't know which would be best for you. And he's laughing because he knows I'm playing him, because I get all his ads. He's cool. And he goes, I'll tell you what, I'll do you $500. And it was to my friend Scott Stewart, who was running for Pima County board. I don't know what to call them, the community college. They've got like board of
Regents or something?
It's like that, yeah. And really good guy. He said works. Anyway, long time libertarian. But the bottom line is they're giving me money because I'm reciprocating. And I had one person go, I never give money to campaigns. I said, you know, that's what my last vet told me.
Ooh.
And I said, well, I had it. I said, that's what my last vet told me. And he says, it sounds to me like you're putting pressure on me. I said, look, I spend a lot of money with you, and I know you give money to other stuff. I've seen you have March of Dimes stuff up here. If you don't want to give, I understand that. I'm not going to bother you. So what do you want to do? Now, I don't recommend that as a general practice. But when somebody came right at me like that, instead of saying, if he would have gone, well, look, I'd like to, but I have all kinds of people from different political viewpoints, and I don't want to alienate anybody.
We got a lot of that in the campaign.
I really do like you, and you know what my reaction was? I am so glad to hear that. Because do you realize that by law, if you donate $199, your name is totally secret. It's not revealed at all. So if you write a check for $199, I can protect your privacy, keep your name totally confidential, and let me support you the way you say you want to. How about that? And by the way, that is a big deal. If they tell me confidentiality, I'm cool with that. I get that. I gave money to Ron Paul for president. Both times he ran recently, in 2008 and 2012, for the Republican nomination. Okay? I voted for him in the Republican primary. I had to re-register Republican, vote for him, re-register Libertarian, go home, take several hot showers, because I wanted to support the guy. Now, the fact of the matter was, I was doing it because I liked what he was doing with young people. He was bringing a lot of young people in, and I wanted it to continue. And the longer the campaign went, the better. Okay. Now, that's how I ask for money when I do it. Now, you wonder, what's my job when I get on? It's my job to raise money. Your job when you make these phone calls is not to raise money. Your job is to request the money and let what happens, happen. Make all the phone calls, don't worry about whether that one particular call gives you money. The numbers will take care of you, trust me on this. You might get 3 no's and then 5 yeses in a row. I got turned down 5 or 6 times in a row when I was running for Senate. And the next person goes, oh hell, I've known you forever. What's the highest amount anyone's given? I said, well, I won't know until you write your check for $2,300. And he says, all right. And I told him how to fill it out. And then I said, and would you like to ask your wife to do that too? And he says, damn, I would. Well, everybody has a great story where somebody just says, take the money. And that was mine. And that was the only one I ever got. You're going to get some no's, some yeses, some I can'ts because, and I get that. And I tell them, I said, I understand that you're in a tough situation. Would you mind if I stayed in touch in case anything changed? I get their permission. Really important. I don't want to bug them. Crap they don't want is spam. Stuff they say, okay, would it be all right if I, from time to time, just let you know what's going on? Because you might have some friends or something might happen. You might win lotto. Who knows? And surprisingly, a decent portion of those guys end up supporting in some way. They go, I still don't have money, but you can put your yard sign up. Well, that's a value. Okay, now all of these people that I get money from, now remember, I'm going to average about 10 to 12 people calls an hour. Okay, 10 an hour is 25 calls a night, 4 nights, is you're going to actually reach about 100 people. Now, if you reach $10,000 before you finish your 100, don't you dare stop. I'll slap you down with a tuna. You keep on going. Just remember, too much of a good thing is great. That's Midwest. Now, the truth on this is, after they donate to your campaign, you want to make sure, if they've got an email, that you can send it, would it be all right if I let you know what's going on in the campaign? Just get a light permission. Yeah, you sure? Because I don't want to send you stuff you don't want. Now, what I'm doing is I'm getting them to reinforce. No, send it to me. Okay, now they're not going to say they've been spammed. First thing I do is send them an email thank you note and let them know that they'll be getting it and they'll have this name on the top. Why? Because the first time they get it, they're going to go, I didn't ask for that, right? Because they haven't seen Harry Brown or governor whatever or your name for office. So you want to let them know. Now here's the important part. The night that you get that donation promise, ask them to put them in the mail the next day. Because we've got a big fundraiser coming up and I want to be sure to announce all of these donations together. And you do have a big fundraiser coming up and hers is part of it. His is part of it. The reason you want to do it is so they don't forget it. If they don't forget it, they're going to feel guilty about not sending it, believe it or not. If you ever forgot to send a thank you note after something went on, forgot a couple days, and then you started feeling like queasy and really ought to thank them. Then a couple more days went by, and before you knew it, you were resenting them because you owed them a thank you note. So the first thing I want you to do is send a handwritten note. Thank you for sharing the good news about my run for Senate. And in that, I put a note, if anything changes, here's a donor form. I send it to everybody. Do you know how many people give you money that night, get the donor form, give you money right away again are? About 1 out of 10. We'll send you a second donation, just because you put the form in. If God didn't want them to do it, they would not have invented the post office. Now, you send them the thank you card, because most people don't send the thank you notes. Get those little cheap, you can get them over at Kinko's, you can get them where it's blank on the inside, it just says thank you on the outside. Print it, in case your writing is as bad as mine. Thank you so much for hearing the good news about my Senate race. Or thank you so much for your $250 donation to my Senate campaign. I'm sending that out with the next day's mail. Why?
Since I get mail it.
It's a reminder.
It's a reminder in case they forgot. I don't want them to feel guilty. I want them to feel glad. Because a lot of them are going to forget to put their check in the mail the next day. Then they're going to get my thank you card and go, oh shit. I set it aside and forgot to send it, Michael. Just wanted to let you know it's on the way. Thank you. Yes.
Is there a advantage to doing the generic thank you, or because what I did with mine is I had just gone to the printer, I printed up a bunch of little cards that had my Go With Joe sign on front. And that's what I used as the thank you.
I try and do it where it's a personal thing rather than a campaign-looking thing. Because this way, politics is personal as clouds forth the law. If people feel like it was a personal call from Harry Brown, they felt different than if it was a political call for political reasons. If you get a personal call, that's the reason I do it. I haven't tested it. Might work equally well both ways. But my prejudice, maybe I'm wrong, is just one of those little envelopes, thank you for your $250 donation. I really appreciate it. And then what I do is, if they didn't donate, I put in the, if anything changes, I've enclosed a donor card if you can make a small, affordable donation. By the way, that's an important word, affordable. Because different people have a different sense of affordable. I mean, I remember when David Koch said he could make an affordable donation. I said, David, 100 million is affordable. You talking 100 million? And he goes, you really do ask for money, don't you? I said, yeah, I do, David. Well, he got away with $5,000. No, that's not affordable. That's a penny for me. He's worth $18 billion. Are you kidding me? Anyway, so the thank you card goes out the next day. Here's the fun part. Here's what a volunteer can do. Whenever you get an online article written, nowadays most people don't get newspapers anymore. We're getting electronic, correct? When you see something about you printed it at a blog that's any good, print it out. Circle it with a red pen and just make a personal note. Great news, huh? Take that, have your volunteer put it in an envelope to these people who donated to you. They're not going to go, if you send them a note online, it doesn't feel as real as holding paper in their hand. I don't know why, I'm just telling you. And you want to make a magic marker, a flare tip pen, something that stands out. It says, good news, thank you, right? Send that to them. Make sure they get something from you every 3 or 4 weeks that's in paper. If you want to wait a few days to get 2 or 3 of these little articles that are online, you're probably not going to get a lot in the paper. Even if it's a libertarian blog, who cares? If it's a good article, clip it out. Hey, this was printed on Strike at the Root blog, which is an anarchist blog. That was the only anarchist blog that endorsed our ballot initiative to end the income tax in 2002. I remember them, and I'm grateful. I sent them a note. Thank you. Anyway, they get the thank you notes throughout the campaign. I invite them to the events. Don't know whether you're free. Love to see you. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't talk about the politics. I talk it's going to be a lot of fun. Some other family members and friends are going to be there too. Drop by. I'd love to see you. So if you're having any events, invite them. If you're having a party, even if it's a thank you party, after the campaign, you're going to have a thank you party for your staff, your team, invite your donors. Now, I said I was going to tell you how to double your money like that. You stay in touch with those people. You keep, every 3 weeks, they're getting a printout, remember, of something you got online. Circle. And do it in different color paper. Use pink paper. Use pukey yellow paper sometimes. Different color papers makes people go, oh, this must be different. No, it's not. Same shit. Okay, but looks different, huh? Good enough. You stay in touch, and I always put, this is good news, and then thank you, Michael. Boom. Send it to them. Now, 8 weeks before the election, you thank them, you call these people, your list that you called, for 4 nights, you're going to call them back. Thank them so much, tell them it's only 8 weeks till election day, and ask whether they'd be willing to match their previous donation of $250. Would you do that for me, Dad? 95%. Yes, yes. If you stay in touch and thank them. Now, I want you to think, that's volunteer. What do I do with my volunteers? This is something that really helps. And your family. I had my family read Harry Brown's book cover to cover. My family hasn't read anybody's political book cover to cover ever, including FDR, who my father idolizes. That's how you get the first 10,000 from family and friends. Now, I want to tell you a couple things. Despite the fact this is simple, it's not always emotionally easy. It's a little, you're gonna feel a little uncomfortable, and that's normal, totally okay. Your family's gonna feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but you're gonna notice something about your family. They're gonna respect your political beliefs a little more. They're gonna read your materials a little more. If you've got something coming out that you think might not scare the bejesus out of them, like, hey, we're doing a tax cut, I thought that'd be good for you and Dad. You were talking about how with a fixed income it's a little harder. Good stuff. You're going to find your parents, your relatives, your sisters going to become more receptive. How do I know this works? My brother is now a card-carrying member of the Libertarian Party. My youngest sister is a liberservative. That's somewhere between libertarian and conservative. Leaning in our direction, even in favor of same-sex marriage, allowing it, even in favor of reclassifying marijuana, same as wine and beer. Maybe it won't go as far as we do, but a lot, she's almost there. My brother-in-law is just this close. I'm going to get him drunk one night and get him to sign up. And my other sister, the one that was disappointed in me because I didn't ask her for money, no, she likes Charles Kuralt, so there's sort of like, she's a neocon. There's not much I can do other than not talk to her about politics. I don't know what it is. I think mental illness does strike 1 out of 4. There were 4 children. The object of this is very simple. I want you to pretend that across the United States we had 585 libertarians run for office last year. Suppose 200 of them did this $10,000 thing. And by the way, this is going to be in my efforts during the next spring. Here's what I'd like you to do. And then the rule I make with the candidates is if you raise the money, you don't allow any of your staff to recommend how you spend it or spend it for you. I want you to hold on to that and think of the commitments you made about it. It'll make you real serious about spending your money. It'll make you a better spender as a candidate. You won't buy crap. You'll be pretty careful. Now, to double up your money works well 8 weeks out. You can do that in that week. And that's like finding $10,000 on the sidewalk. So you got $20,000. But let's just say with the first 10. Let's say nobody doubles up. Say 200 libertarians are willing to do this experiment with us. 200 times 10,000 is 2 million non-libertarian dollars promoting liberty, doing the work that you love and that I love, and, unbeknownst to them, making the world better for them. Because the truth of the matter is, even though they're not, I gotta be a libertarian, if they're donating, they're helping make the future better for themselves, their children, and their children's children. And that's how you can raise the first $10,000 in only 4 nights, all from non-libertarians, even if you're shy. Cool.
Thank you.
Now, it'll help you recruit volunteers in a very gentle, fun way and help you raise money. One book is out of print. It is called Ask for the Moon and Get It. And it's by Percy Ross, R-O-S-S. Now you can get it, go to Amazon.com and look for it used. You can buy it, like for 25 cents plus $3.99 shipping. It doesn't matter what the book is. A penny and $3.99 shipping. $1 and get it. It's worth it. This is the best book on asking people for things in ways that are respectful, effective, and fun. I read this book cover to cover, and I wish the guy was alive. He's just wonderful, wonderful, absolutely best book I've ever read.
Some of those, if you tell Kindle you want to see a Kindle version of it, if they get enough requests, they will convert it.
That's a cool idea. Thank you. But either go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon and look for it new and then look used, and you'll have a lot of choices. Second book is called The Aladdin Factor, A-L-A-D-D-I-N Factor, and that's written by the Chicken Soup for the Soul guys, Hanson and Jack Canfield.
What's that book about?
It's also about asking. Most of us, even when we're asking in business, for example, asking for venture capitalists to invest in our business, most of us don't know how to do it in ways that are efficient and either not pushy or not begging. And these two books are the best I found on it. Now there's one other book that may help, and they'll help with your whole campaign. I'm a big fan of this lady. Her name is Susan Jeffers. The book is called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And she's a goddess. She is, you're going to feel afraid to give your first speech, and she's going to show you how to very simply have the fear and give the speech anyway. Have the fear and make the phone call anyway. Have the fear, ask the volunteers anyway. Now, are we okay on these things? If there's any question you have on this, if you get stuck, here's my home phone number. And if you'll send me your email address, what I'm going to do for you is this. I'm doing a complete script of this talk that I gave, and I'm going to fill in some stuff that I know I forgot. I just left it out. I got 5 or 6 different ways of asking family, 6 or 7 ways of asking other relationships, financial relationships. And I want to make sure that you have this available. Also, you may have someone else running for office, and they'll say, how do I do it? It's going to be posted at the Libertarian Party website. They've already got an early version of it, but I wanted to do the long version, and Jeff Neal said, oh, get it up there. We need it for 2014. So that's going to be done probably in about 3 more weeks. I'll send you an email and let you know. Drop me your email address, and then I'll notify you, and I'll send you the link. You can print it out, use it. If you want others to be aware of it, share it. You know, I'm copywriting it, but the deal is real simple. Share it with as many people as you want, print it out with as many people. I don't want any compensation other than you succeeding. This is pay it forward stuff for me. Because you do well, the whole Libertarian Party does well. You do well, you're going to inspire other Libertarians. You do well, maybe you'll invite me to a victory party the night you get inaugurated in the White House. And I want to sleep in the Lincoln.